Good morning. This morning it is striking me again that God talks. He talks to us. Can we start out this morning by just being so thankful that He speaks? He talks to me. He talks to you. In His Word, when we read His Word every day, He's talking to us. You know, maybe He's saying, see what's written there? Don't do that. You know, maybe He's saying, see what's written there? This is for you today. Do that. But if we'll be still for just a minute, His presence can rush in and His voice can speak. And we can receive from heaven for earth. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. If we will listen, we can receive from heaven every single day the fuel that we need, the wisdom that we need, the grace and mercy that we need, straight from heaven. Through the Word, maybe something I say touches your heart and you go and you re-look at something that you had been thinking of a certain way. Maybe it's your pastor, a friend, a family member. Maybe it's a song that you hear on the radio. Maybe it's a series of songs that comes up on your playlist and you're like, I haven't heard that song since 1986. And then the next song and the next song, and tears come because you're like, wow, God, you're talking to me. You're talking to my heart. Today, as we go into this week, I want to point out something that spoke to my heart, and I hope that it talks to your heart too. You know, the disciples, Jesus, they lived near water, right? That they fished, they were fishermen. He says, get out of the boat, come and with me and follow me, and I'll make you fishers of men. And they had in many times watched crazy miracles that God did. Jesus, God with us, Emmanuel, did crazy miracles in their presence, and they were with Him every day, and they got to see this stuff. And after they fed 5,000 in Matthew chapter 14, Jesus is like, go get in your boat. See you later, I'll catch up with you. And they did. They got in His boat, and in verses 22 through 32, there is this story about Jesus. He walks out on the water to them, and He's not actually headed for them. The scripture says He had intended to pass by them. Reminiscent of something that had happened about 6 chapters before, in chapter 8, you do the math, where the disciples are in a boat with Jesus, and the wind and the waves are coming up, and the water's filling the boat, and they're like, Jesus, you're sleeping. Could you wake up and do something? And He did. He calmed the winds and the waves, and their minds were blown, and they said, who is this man? Even the winds and waves obey Him. Here we are in Matthew chapter 14. How many chapters later did I say? You do the math. Jesus is not with them, and the scripture says that the winds were buffeted against them. And here they see Jesus coming on the water, but they thought it was a ghost, so they freaked out. Where do you go here in your mind? Let's just say this is the first time that you're hearing this, and you're like, oh, He's Jesus. He's coming out, going to calm the winds and the waves, and everything's going to be good. Going to jump in the boat. That's not what He did. First off, He scared the bejeebies out of them by coming to them in a way that they did not really recognize Him. They thought He was somebody entirely different than He was. They're like, it's a ghost. It's a ghost! Can you imagine it? Bad enough that we're out in the middle of the sea and the winds and the waves are buffeting us. Reminds me of Jimmy Buffett every time I say that. Also against the wind. I know you know where I'm going with that, but I digress. Jesus doesn't do it the same way this time. Jesus doesn't ask the same thing of them this time. Last time Jesus says, trust me, come on. I tell the wind and the waves what to do. And he does. And sometimes he doesn't tell the wind and the waves to cut it out. And so today, this very day, as you go into this week, I want you to think about the winds that are against you. I want you to think about what is happening in your life. You know, the winds were buffeting the boat. The guys see Jesus coming across the water. They think he's a ghost. He's like, guys, hello, it's me. Peter says, if it's you, Jesus, call me out on the water. I want to walk with you. It wasn't a calm water. It was a wavy water because the winds were buffeted against them. They were busting their butts to get their boat from here to there because that's what Jesus told them to do. And Jesus comes in the middle of it. And does he say, peace, be still? No, he does not. He says, come on out. Ignore the wind. Ignore the waves. Look at me and come on out because I want you to experience something you have never experienced in your life. The exhilaration. The miraculous. To walk on water. And Peter did it. He got out of the boat, walked on the water. He noticed the wind and the waves. And he began to sink. And we talked about this before. Jesus was super quick to pick him up and get him back up on the water, get him back into the boat to safety. But what we didn't say is Jesus didn't do it the same way he did last time. Last time he said, come and stay in the boat. You're safe. Calm down, wind. Calm down, waves. That's not what he did this time. This time he said, I know that there's wind and I know that there's waves, but if you believe, you can walk on top of all of that with me. So today, as you go into this week, what is it that is distracting you from Jesus? And it might be a pretty big deal. It might be pretty rough stuff. It might be exhausting and painful and repetitive. Buffeting against you, trying to prevent you from getting where you need to go, and it just won't stop. And you might be even saying, Tracy, but you don't know. It's bad. I know I don't know, but I know the one who does. Jesus knows. And he's still standing on the water. And he's still saying, ignore the wind and the waves and turn your eyes on me and come to me walking on the water. It's going to blow your mind. What does he have planned for you this day, this week, that you'll miss if you don't get out of the boat because the winds are buffeted against you? You're going against the wind. But he's saying, don't sit in the boat. Come on out. The water's fine. I'm not doing it the same way as I did last time. Don't sit in there and wait for me to calm the storm. Come on out and let's have a blast while the storm is raging. Let's do things that you have never done before. Miraculous things, big things, even while the storm is raging. And it's going to be a great day.